The video begins in East Greenbush, New York, where the auditor introduces the mission for the day, testing public reactions to First Amendment filming in public spaces. Standing outside Smoky Paradise Dispensary on a busy roadside, he predicts plenty of traffic and potential interactions. For the first minute, the atmosphere remains calm as he surveys the location and comments on passing vehicles. However, the mood shifts when an employee suddenly approaches and questions why he is filming. The conversation quickly becomes tense. The worker claims another employee felt uncomfortable and alleges she was followed while leaving work. The auditor challenges the accusation and asks for clarification, but the employee refuses to identify herself or explain further. Within seconds, the discussion escalates into threats of calling police. Rather than answering questions, the employee repeatedly insists she will contact law enforcement. The auditor sarcastically narrates the situation as she places the call, describing it as the classic Angry Karen 911 call. This opening segment immediately establishes conflict, introduces the primary complainant, and creates anticipation for the police response that is clearly on the way. After the complaint is made, the auditor remains outside while the employee continues watching from a distance. Instead of leaving, she repeatedly monitors him while waiting for police to arrive. The cameraman uses the downtime to comment on her behavior, joking about her attempts to attract attention and keep eyes on him. Meanwhile, passing customers begin noticing the camera. A brief interaction occurs when a passerby requests not to be included in the recording. The auditor responds that the footage has already been captured, creating another small but memorable public reaction. Although no major confrontation occurs yet, this section serves an important purpose. The audience knows police are coming, the complainant remains visibly frustrated, and every passing minute increases anticipation. The tension here comes from uncertainty. Viewers know something bigger is approaching, but nobody knows exactly how officers will react once they arrive. This is the major turning point of the video. Police finally arrive after receiving complaints about the filming. The officers approach professionally and explain they received calls about someone recording people near the dispensary. Unlike many audit encounters, the interaction begins relatively calmly. The officers ask basic questions about what he is doing and whether there is a specific reason for filming. The auditor remains polite but declines to discuss his purpose. The conversation soon shifts into a discussion about public recording rights. One officer openly acknowledges that filming in public is legal and repeatedly states that the auditor is not breaking any laws. As the discussion continues, the officers request no identification, issue no orders, and make no threats. Instead, they obtain his requested CD number and explain that they will educate the complainant about First Amendment protections. The segment reaches its peak when officers openly confirm that he has every right to record from a public sidewalk and promise to relay that information back to the business. What began as a police complaint ultimately turns into a public lesson on constitutional rights. After police leave, the environment becomes noticeably calmer. Several members of the public approach, but unlike earlier encounters, most interactions are driven by curiosity rather than hostility. A few people ask whether the filming is for a commercial or social media project. These conversations remain lighthearted and friendly. The dynamic changes dramatically when a woman named April approaches. Initially, she simply wants to understand why she is being recorded and expresses concern about how her image could be used online. What begins as a simple privacy discussion quickly transforms into a deeper conversation about rights, personal image, employment concerns, and public filming. Unlike previous confrontations, neither side becomes aggressive. Instead, both participants engage in a thoughtful exchange that gradually evolves into a broader discussion about society, rights, and personal responsibility. By the end of this segment, Viewers realize they are witnessing something far different from a normal audit confrontation, a genuine debate between two people with very different perspectives. The final portion of the video becomes the longest and most intellectually intense exchange of the day. April and the auditor move beyond filming rights and begin discussing equality, opportunity, economic success, social mobility, and personal responsibility. Both sides challenge each other's viewpoints while remaining remarkably respectful throughout the conversation. The auditor argues that success is primarily determined by personal effort and individual choices, sharing stories about growing up poor before achieving financial success. April counters by emphasizing the role of environment, resources, and starting conditions in shaping people's opportunities. Their disagreement evolves into a lengthy debate over equality versus equity and whether everyone truly begins life with the same chances. Despite clear ideological differences, neither participant becomes hostile. Instead, the discussion remains civil, thoughtful, and surprisingly productive. Eventually, the conversation ends on positive terms. They exchange names, thank each other for the respectful discussion, and part ways amicably. The video closes with the auditor reflecting on the encounter, praising the officers for respecting constitutional rights and highlighting the unexpected conversation that turned an ordinary audit into a much deeper discussion about society, opportunity, and freedom.